Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to share another nerdy quirk of mine. This is a nerdy quirk I think I have talked about extensively in the past, but I want to talk about it extensively again because it's a quirk that won't go away. It's something that's just like, I can be like, what I mean is like, I can be very anal retentive when it comes to like categorizing TV shows. Now what I mean by that is like, if you're unaware, I review TV shows. I have like 3 different like shows where I talk about TV shows. I have like Not Too Comic Book. I review TV shows that are based on comic books or graphic novels. Super Fantasy shows of like the supernatural fantasy or science fictional genre. And then Crime Centric where I do crime dramas. And then the other one is just Untitled Reviews, just dramas. So the reason why like I can be anal retentive about it is like categorizing TV shows. Like I'm someone that has to like, oh, I need to like, it needs to fit these specific parameters that I've kind of set for myself. Because the thing is, and I think I've kind of gone and explaining this in the past, but I'll go ahead and explain it now. Like, what kind of takes like there's priorities when it comes to the genre of a show. So for example, like let's use iZombie for example. iZombie could be a crime-centric show because it is a crime drama. It is a procedural, you know, there's a lot of solving murders and stuff like that, cases and stuff like that. So yes, it could be a crime-centric, but it could also be a super fancified because it is a science fictional show, but it ultimately was a not too comic book for me because it's based on a comic book. So like certain aspects takes precedence over everything else. No matter what, like, oh, this thing is a crime drama. Oh, well, it's based on a comic book that takes priority. Like for example, like Arrow. Arrow is a crime drama, so it would be crime-centric, but because it's based on a DC comic characters, it obviously the comic book, the not too comic book aspect to it takes priority over. So it becomes that type of thing of like, you know, if like there's a supernatural fantasy or science fictional genre to a show and it's a prominent thing, then that takes precedence over it being, you know, a crime drama, for example. So the reason why, like, I like showing you how anal retentive I can be about it. I made videos years ago talking about this. There's the TV show Dark Matter and there's the TV show Van Helsing. I originally reviewed both of those shows as super fantasy because I wasn't aware that they were based on comic books. Like the Dark Matter is based on a Vertigo comic book of the same name, and I believe Van Helsing is based on a, was it Xenoscope comic? Granted, the TV show is a more modern apocalypse type of situation, whereas the comic book is more Victorian era. It's kind of, its tone and feel is a little bit closer to like the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing movie. So, but the thing is, it's still forever like I will never be able to forget the fact is I reviewed the entire first season of Van Helsing as a super fantasy, and yes, it's something I could go back and change, but obviously like in the recording I can't change. I can change the title and make myself feel at least a little bit better, but it's like, it's always going to be, no, it's a super fantasy. Same thing for season 2 of Dark Matter. Like I said, it's the weirdest thing to get caught up on, but it's like that's forever going to be branded in my brain. Because the reason why that comes up too is like it's still an issue from time to time because there's some shows that I'm like, I don't know, the show is just kind of labeled as a drama, but it's like it has crime drama elements to it, so I'm gonna label it as a crime centric, but I don't know, you know. So it bothers me on some level because like there's some shows like Into the Badlands, I reviewed that as a super fantasy because there's a mild supernatural element with all the dark ones and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just an action drama. So I can skirt the line with that. But just like another great example would be like Nancy Drew. I reviewed the first episodes of that as a crime-centric because I was under the impression like, oh, it's going to have a little bit of a supernatural side. And then the more and more you watch the show, you're like, no, this is like a major supernatural side. It's a big crux of this story. So I ended up shifting it over to super fantasy. Does this matter to anyone else? No, it's just like I said, it's just me and my like nerdy brain are just like having to categorize. So I created this problem because I put myself in a situation because back in 2016, specifically February 24th is when I started like officially doing these, but I came like a week or so prior, I'd come up with these titles because I thought it was me being clever. Like, oh, look at me coming up with something like, oh, not too comic book or crime centric or super fantasy. I thought I was being so clever. And now I've kind of pigeonholed myself into, now I need to divide these shows into these specific categories of what they fit into. So like I'm always double checking shows from now on because I'm like, okay, is this based on a comic book? Is it? Because I need to know. I don't want to end up mistakenly categorizing it as something else because it's going to haunt me for the rest of my days, like Van Helsing, like those first episodes of Nancy Drew, like Dark Matter. So it's something to kind of, like I said, it'd be simpler if I was just like, just do them as reviews, just like don't even like categorize them in these specific shows. But like I said, I thought I was so clever and I could abandon them, but I kind of don't want to because I like the titling, because once again, it was 2016 and I was 24 at the time, I believe, and I thought I was being so clever, you know, so I don't know. Like, it's, once again, does this matter to anyone else? No, but it's just like, I just want you to have an insight into my brain, because I've talked about it recently and stuff about just like how anal retentive I can be about that. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Like, are you someone that can be like, what are those nerdy things that you can just, you're so very particular about that like, it's like, oh, it's kind of like this like very crazy idiosyncrasy that you have that you're like, no one else can understand. It's my little pet peeve thing that like, it grinds my gears a little bit. I love to know something you have similar to me when it comes to categorizing TV shows. I love to know that, yes, I might be the only one alone on this island, but there are other people out there on other islands who can be very nitpicky and just like have these idiosyncrasies about similar stuff. Maybe not necessarily the same thing I do, but like I said, I just love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Really, that's all I want to talk about today. Next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good